Welcome everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about how Bitcoin and the halving cycle is going to present an opportunity for you to increase your Dogecoin coin count, or really any coin that you're invested in, based off of the historical data. Obviously, we're going to take a look here at the charts and everything, but I wanted to just really elaborate on the point that you have a window here that if you are not happy with your coin count, if you're not happy with your positioning, you have a time here to adjust it at the best price possibly that you're going to get prior to the checkered flag being waved for the bull run. This here is the last call that we have historically before things get parabolic. So I wanted to make this video. I wanted to just kind of convey this without the charts, just kind of me talking to you so that you can kind of get the importance of what's taking place here and ultimately make those adjustments. Or if you're happy, just kind of sit back. But if you want to, you obviously have that window of time, and you have, from the time of this video recording, about 31 days and 15 hours. So with that being said, let's get into the video. All right, welcome back everyone. I wanted to put this out there and give you some evidence here while you have just over a month that you need to be focusing on your coin count if you, in fact, you plan on riding this bull market out. And we're going to back this up, obviously, with historical data, and we're going to take a look here at the charts. So as some of you may know, we have the Bitcoin halving coming up in exactly 31 days and like 15 hours, right? At that point, Bitcoin, the mining success ratio, the block rate will be, Bitcoin will be basically more scarce than gold at that point. It'll be much harder to, you have a better chance of finding gold than you would be actually mining successfully at Bitcoin. So that is going to play a huge role in supply and demand. But if we're looking at historical data, we see that the 14 to, I say 28 days ahead of the Bitcoin halving, we see a pullback in Bitcoin. And we've already seen a little over 11, 12% over the last week. And it's looking like we're going to kind of continue that trend. Now, the significant thing is, I do believe that the bull cycle may be shortened just because of the amount of people in crypto now. I do believe that the speed and the volatility of the crypto market is going to be a lot stronger now because of the amount of people in there. But I do believe that we're still on track to have some sort of a pullback prior to the halving. And I don't think we're going to get as aggressive as the one that we had in 2020, but I do believe we're going to see or continue seeing somewhat of a pullback that we're seeing right now. I drew a line here. There's a one that's much deeper at around like 48,000, 44,000. That would be a 40% pullback that we saw in 2020. The 2016 pullback we saw was roughly around 20%. And that, I believe, just because of the way the charts are lining up, I believe that's more likely than we are to get a 40% pullback, because I think that a 40% pullback will do a lot of aggression as far as for people coming into the coins here. And we're going to relate this to Dogecoin and give you guys an idea of when to accumulate, because this is a very important thing here to overlay with your investing. And this is because obviously Bitcoin is going to drag the market down and present opportunities across the board. So if we look here, we've actually came down and retested where that 20% pullback would be. I'm going to say it's ironically because math is math, but from 73,000, right? So we had that 20% pullback, and that would put us roughly around the 59,000 mark, 58,000 mark, which is where we've already retested. I believe this is far more likely than we are to get that 40% pullback. So if we're looking here and we say, what does that do for something like a Dogecoin? And pretty much what we're looking at is, if we're looking at the steepness of the pullbacks here as far as across the market, I believe that is the aggression that's going to come into the coins when they start presenting opportunities to buy. Just like I said, I don't believe that Bitcoin is going to get like a 40% pullback, especially now with the amount of people in and people that in ETFs. And this is a lot of reasons why people would buy that. I believe we'll have something similar across the board here for Doge, and people will take advantage of it. And we've seen that aggressively, even when we had whales dumping, Bitcoin pulling the market down. That dip was bought up, right? And that's because they pushed us down and it was bought up back to 15. So anything, if you've been watching the videos, anything as far as we're in this zone and this retest area that we have here is going to be absolutely golden to buy. Because right now you're buying below where the leg establish a floor. So anything that dips below that, where we were bouncing from between the 18 mark and coming down and grabbing liquidity, where we consistently grab liquidity, if you're able to catch it below that, that is an absolutely a good deal here, because we are looking at, let's see where we're at right now, like 14.16 right now on the day. We'll see where we actually close, because we had a really good push up yesterday. So we could do kind of like a red, green, red, green, red, green. But even if we are able to come down to this line here, which obviously would be ideal, which would be 13.23, that'll be absolutely phenomenal area to buy, because we've seen where the wicks come down at. If you're one of these fortunate people to catch it down here, it's always turned out great. Even on some of the extremes, if we go down to like 6 cent, 5 cent, when we're charting there for a couple of years, if you were able to catch those wicks, it did phenomenal as far as for percentage of return, or even bringing down your average, because we normally come out of those zones relatively quickly. So the biggest thing that you will want to focus on over the next 30 days, again, not financial advice, but if you're positioning yourself for the next run for Dogecoin going over $1, you want to focus on coin count. That multiplier is going to be a very big deal as far as where you're going. And I know that some people are saying, oh, I want to at 14 cent, I want it, or 15 cent, I want to catch the flash crash or that wick down to 10 cent. And really, that really determines your amount of money that you're investing, because really, if you are talking about holding to $1 plus or seeing where the cycle goes, that you have to kind of add up, okay, well, how much money am I actually going to invest at 10 cent? And will those 3 pennies make a difference now as far as for later, right? Am I risking, because if it doesn't go to 10 cent, now you're saying, okay, well, I could have had more at 14 and now it's 18. It's like the people that are saying, it's like the comments, if you look at my videos, they're saying, oh, it's going to go back to 8 cent. No, you want it to go back to 8 cent because you thought it was going to go lower at 8 cent and it didn't. And now you need it to go back to 8 cents. So you're going to buy it. So, the question is, what percentage gain are you risking by trying to save a few pennies? And you have to do that based off of the amount of money that you're investing. Obviously, that's a personal decision. I'm not here to tell you that, but I'm here to just have you think about it. Don't risk 150%, 150%, 200% returns on like the next leg up. And then because you wanted to making it, because of the amount of money you were going to invest, was going to turn out to be an extra $200 if you saved, 3 pennies, right? And obviously you're going to have to do the math on that, because sometimes depending on the amount of money you invest, it could make sense, but it's just something for you to think about. The opportunities are going to present itself here, but the fact of the matter is, after the halving, Bitcoin takes off. It takes off, and historically the market takes off with it. So if you are going to compare or position yourself, you need to be thinking about where you are and what are you happy with your position right now over the next month. Because after the halving, that is kind of like when they start waving the checkered flag and everybody's lining up, and the bull run is like officially starting, like the gate goes down, and that's what you need to be thinking about. Even if that if you were saying, oh, I'm not happy with my coin count, even if that means picking out some extra shifts or whatever, just putting some ideas out there, position yourself for the bull run. A lot of you have been in since the last bull run, or you got interested somewhere in the middle. Don't wait 4 years for the cycle trend to come back. And, at the end of the bull run, 18 months, you're saying, okay, well, 2028 is going to be my bull run. We all know what's going to happen during the bull run. We know what always happens during the bull run. So the question is, are you where you want to be? Are you happy where you are right now? Have you set your targets? Think about all these things, because you have the countdown is counting down, and you have roughly around 31 days and 15 hours. And you need to be thinking about these things going forward. So hope this makes sense. We will see where we go. Anything in this zone here, I would say that if we were to kind of get like those ladders down over the next 30 days or so, anything below where we are, the 15 mark, is going to be absolutely gold. If we come down here, because I know we blew through it on the positive side, which is why I believe that gaps fill which is why I believe it's very, very unlikely to hold down here at 12. Just even when we had the big push down here, when the whale put a week supply of Dogecoin in a day, it was bought up. So again, I'm not trying to tell you not to time these investments. Just kind of consider that you can have Bitcoin can drag the market down. It can break through some floors here while it's dragging the market down, and we have this great repositioning that's taking place. But just remember that it pops back up, and all these levels are still in play. This is just a halving where people are taking profit. People are better positioning themselves for the bull run here, and these positions come in play. So 18 is still going to be there. And you have to consider, say, I'm buying below the 18 mark. Just consider that if Bitcoin, whale, whatever, sells Bitcoin, takes profit, and buys back in, similar to what the whale did in Dogecoin, just consider where we are now, and consider this like a spring or a slingshot back to 18, back to that 15 to 18 range, right? So this is, the lower you get, obviously, the better. But just remember, this is the area that was in play. We still have to break 18, but just say, hey, look, 14 to 18, 13 to 18, 12 to 18. Just think about that, because it's really explosive. And if you guys remember anything like the last bull run, those candles get much bigger than this, and it's much faster than this. So don't try and necessarily time the market. Just think coin count. So that being said, I hope you found value in this video. I think this is setting us up for that run to ultimately the Doge. And a bigger thing, if you want to kind of zoom out a little more, don't necessarily think, oh, okay, well, instead of buying at 14, I want to buy at 12. Think 14, think how many coins, 14 to $1, whatever your price target is, and then say, okay, well, if I have that same amount of money from 12 to $1, does it make that big of a difference? Should I risk my position for 2 pennies? And again, like I said earlier in the video, that depends on your capital, but it's just something to think about. So I wanted to put that out there because I believe this is very important for the community here as we count down these days and we position ourselves for the checkered flag to be waved in the next bull run. So with that being said, appreciate all of you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you found value. We're going to be hitting 100,000 subscribers this year. I would love for you guys to be a part of it. Like the video, leave the comments. You guys know I respond to as many of them as I can, and I will see you in the next video.